Okay, back again. This is my personal house. We're gonna do an addition on this house. So I'm really bad at recording stuff end to end. So I'm gonna try to make this the best that I can. So pretty much that rafter, there's another rafter down there. It's gonna be 16 foot long, 8 foot wide. This is gonna be pantry, storage, laundry room-esque thing. Addition that we have on the house. And I thought I'd just go ahead and record it for anybody that would like to see it. So I went ahead and did this deck beginning of the year. So now it's time for an addition because my house been living here for about almost 2 years now, and I still don't have washer and dryer because I just never got around to finding the spot for it. So we're solving that issue today. So pretty much I'm gonna start by taking off all the siding that is on, and then I can't really record that because I'll be the one doing it and I don't have a tripod. So I'll tear all that down and then we'll come back to the next part. Okay, it's pretty much all gone. This is the size of the addition. So you got the rafters running on an 8 foot apart, and that's pretty much where you run it off of. And then this is the last piece of the siding though, so I know it's gonna be pretty satisfying. On to phase 2. So pretty much phase 2 is you can't tell. I'll step off to the side here so you can see what I'm talking about. This is pretty much ground level and it's like a hill. I'm on a hill right now. So the back side's super tall, this side's super short, and it's so short that I can't even go a foot out without having to dig to make it completely level with the floor. So we're gonna do a step up as well. I'll show you how to do that as well. Pretty much what you do is you come up over here or anywhere along this wall and you feel underneath here. Be like, okay, your joist should be right here, level with this OSB. Joist right here, level with the OSB. So pretty much what you do to make the step up is you do the measurement of your 2x8. So I got it right here, and it should be 8 1/8 up, because it's a little bit less than 8, and then you got to add your 3/4 inch plywood, which is your OSB. That was for your flooring. And then I just did click, which is, it's 5 millimeters, so it's literally nothing. So there's no point in adding that into the measurement. So then you measure up your width of the board. Then you find your top of the joist. Then you do your 3/4 inch plywood, and then you're gonna want to make your mark, and I'm gonna make a line all the way down it, and then that's where the board's gonna set on top, and that would make a standard length step. So which is just the length of this board. So pretty much that's your step up that you're gonna have onto the next addition, and I'll give you enough room so the board will be up here to where I can go away the book back there if I wanted to, but I'm only going 8 foot out, so it's gonna be 16 long by 8 foot out. And if you're wondering what those stupid things were and the holes, I'm strategically putting this addition here on purpose because I made these stupid holes for that, which worked for a whopping 2 weeks and then killed itself. That's a mini split. So that was $500 down the drain. I could probably get, I'm assuming it had some Freon leak. I mean, the heating element in it worked for a week. The AC never worked. So I don't know. I followed step by step exactly how to do it. There was like a YouTube link on how they did it. And I do this kind of stuff for a living, so I really don't think I messed it up. I'm pretty sure I just got a defective one. And usually if you messed up on insulation, it'll just over time become a problem, but it would just never work to begin with. So I'm assuming I just got it dud. And I got it. Of course, I didn't want to spend, $1,500 to $2,000 for an American made one that you could buy at like Lowe's. So I was like, oh, I found this guy on Marketplace. He sells them for $500. They're from China. Don't do that. Do not do that. You might think, oh, it's a third of the price. Actually, I don't know. It depends on how you look at it. You could buy 3 for the price of 1. So, you know what I mean? You just buy 3, or you just keep buying them. And as long as you get 1 out of 3 working, then you're either breaking even, or it's a third or half cheaper. So, it depends on how you look at it. But pretty much, we got all the siding down. I'm going to keep this black paper up overnight. Just because there's no point in tearing it down and then having the OSB. I don't think it's not going to rain, but just in case it does, who knows. It's brand new. So I actually have an idea that I'm going to keep this as my wall on the interior, and this is going to be my accent wall. I'll show you guys later on what I do with that, but I think I have a pretty cool idea. So yeah, the end of the wall will come out right here, boop boop boop, and then boop, and then come out here, and then you got yourself a 16 by 18 addition. I also had high voltage ceilings in my house, so I can show you on the back side. It goes way up. That's what I mean by that. It's the bottom of the house. So it's like a lot of houses around here are like that just because of the hill. Instead of grading it up, this is just what I do. So they're 10 foot on the sides, and then 12 or 15 or whatever that is at the peak. And then I can't remember off the top of my head. And then, so pretty much this is, yeah, it's 10. So it's 10 foot high, and then it'll be the normal 8 foot high after the 2 foot drop, because it drops 2 foot for every 8 foot of length. It drops 2 foot on your house. So for the pitch of the roof, or at least that's the roof that I go with. Every house is a little different. So yeah, that's where we're at right now. I'm gonna go ahead and get that siding out of the way, pop those things inside, and then make that line and start hanging these 2x8s, and then we'll start at the floor. So we got our chuck line on the top and the bottom of where our board's gonna go. This is the step up. This is pretty much the step up will be this. If you're in the house, your step up will be pretty much 7.5, I think. 7 3/8, 7 1/4, 7 3, yeah, 7 1/4, and then that'll be your step up for that, and then that'll get rid of our ground clearance issue here, so we don't have to dig. Because one thing about me, I hate digging. I'm not a fan of digging. It is absolutely the worst. And we want it on the inside of that rafter, so that rafter, follow that down. This plywood is splitting it in half, so then you have to take the other half. This is just 3/4, go over, and then add 1.5 inches, and then my board's going to set in there, and then that'll leave enough room for the board going this way to fit in, and you could screw it from the side. And I'm just putting regular screws. This is a little tip that I do. You go right below the line, you put a bunch of screws here. If you're a one-man show, you ain't got nobody to hold that end. So I set it up there, get this side nice and square and done, and then that's pretty much good. And then I get the level on there, make sure the house didn't settle, and make sure that this is actually going on level, and then screw it in there, and then cut down the other side, do that piece, and that's how you get the piece actually attached to the wall. Just make sure you get bigger screws than this, obviously, and then lag bolts and put it in there. Your OSB has your lines where your studs are going to be, so that's always good. And then from there, we we just carried it out, build it just like you're going to build a deck. Then we'll frame it out up to the ceiling, and then we'll go there. So yeah. Okay, so I suck at videography, so we could have had a little bit, as you can see. But I'll just go ahead and fill you in on what happened. Pretty much we had that board up against the wall, and then I did all this, so I'll just explain what I did. Pretty much you just put your posts, make sure they got to be 8 foot apart. So if you go 8 foot out, you got to add another post. So this one, I wanted it to come out exactly 8 foot. So the way that I did that was just take my 8 foot boards, they're a little bit over, so you'll have a little sliver that you'll cut off, usually 1/2 inch or so. And I put that board on the outside like this, screwing into it. And that's pretty much how I made sure to get it exactly 8 foot long. And then the ones against the wall are a little bit less than 16 because they got to fit inside of where the rafter joints are, because when we hang the rafters, we're going to hang them on the inside like this, going down. This is a vaulted ceiling on the inside, and then we'll be going down to 8 foot, so it'll pretty much be 10 foot going down to 8 foot to match the architecture of the house. And then the metal will pretty much just slide up underneath there and then go down. And so pretty much what I did with there was measure out the exact distance I needed, put up my 8 foot board, and then put the cut piece up against there, and then put your posts where they're supposed to be, at the breaks, and that kind of stuff. And then from there, you make sure on this side, I just put the post in because I can go the screws going this way, and then I put the pressure blocks in there, or you can use joist hangers, whatever. I use pressure blocks, it's just easier. You can screw the pressure block in like this, and then screw the joist in going this way. And your joist want to be 16 on center, so I just made sure to measure the entire joint, and then measured what's going to be your dead center joist, which is here. And then pretty much I measured from here to here, 16 inches on center. There's going to be a joist. I had to run to the store last night to go get more because I was 2 by 8 short. So, and then once we do that, we can start framing up the walls, and I can fill you in from there. So let me put these in, and but yeah, pretty much your joists, once you got your box square, which how you check that is a little trick that my dad taught me, which is pretty much you measure 3 foot out, so you do your mark, and then you measure 4 foot out this way. So you take your longer side, you measure out 4 foot. You take your shorter side, you measure out 3 foot, and if you measure from end to end, it should be 5 foot exactly. That's pretty much how you check if each corner square. If you got a longer one, then you multiply it. Whatever you do, the first number you got to do to them all, so it's 3, 4, 5. Then if you do, you could do 6 out, 8 out, and then if you measure it across, it should be 10 exactly. That's just the math on how to do it. Or you can measure corner to corner. I did a little bit of everything because I like to make sure that the foundation's like 100% square before I start laying joists, just because you'll fight it all the way up. And you could theoretically fix like an 1/8 or a 1/4 even in the walls, but I like to just try to make sure I have a perfectly square box. Anytime I'm doing decks or foundation, it's just way better that way. So yeah, you would measure corner, whatever that number would be, you would measure the other corner. Make sure it's perfect. If you want to double check it again, you could just measure from end to end, come out here, end to end, go to middle, end to end, make sure you have the same number, and then go to this side, end to end, end to end, end to end, make sure you have the same number. And then you do the 3, 4, 5 trick. I did all 3. You only need to do 1, but I always like to triple check. And then whenever you get your joist hang, I like to just lay a board across it and then walk, and then you can literally feel if the board moves at all, then you're unlevel somewhere. So as you can see, the board's not moving anywhere, so all the joists are 100% level. And perfect. So after we get this 2 joists in, then we'll start framing the wall. Okay, so where we left off, the only thing I did was just put the subflooring down. This is just OSB, 3/4 plywood, and now our floor is done. And then we move on to the walls. So pretty much how, because we're going off an existing roof, I went ahead and ran like a dummy rafter to get the height of the walls, because pretty much you'd have the bottom plate, you'd have your studs going up, then top plate, and then you'd have a second top plate on top of that. That would pretty much connect all the walls together. So it essentially looked like wall, studs, wall. You'd stand them all up, and then once you get them all stud up and screwed in the ground, then you push them all level and square, and then you put the next top plate on top of it, and then that squares everything up, and then you move on to the roof after that. And then so this is pretty much what I did, was I ran the rafter, cut it level so it's against the wall, made it completely level at the top of that existing rafter, then ran it down. Had this, because it's just me, board holding to the ground so it didn't fall, obviously. Then I screwed a 2x4 against here and ran it up, got it level, going this way and level this way, so that I could get that mark, and that mark will be our outside wall. So when the wall stood up, it'll come out like this, and that will be the outside of the wall. And the reason why we have to do this math is so that we know how much we're going up. So you pretty much take 4.5 inches, because it's your top plate, off from the top of the rafter, and then that's how much we know to cut the dovetail to where when you set it in, and then we'll take the rafter back off, and when we set all the walls back up, the rafter should set perfectly on top of that, and then that's how you get your, that part will be hanging out just like it is here. And that's pretty much exactly what we do. So I'll go ahead and get all those measurements and then build the wall, and then we'll cut to what that is, and then we'll build up the wall on the ground here, and I'll show you how I do that. Okay, so we got it measured out there. You can kind of see what that cut's gonna look like down here on the ground. So from the bottom of the floor to the top of that line was 78 1/4. And the reason why that matters is your bottom layer here, you want this, and this back wall behind me to be all the same length at the top, and then the sides would go up from there. So the floor's gonna go here. This is pretty much, so all three walls are gonna be what this one is, and then the rest you'll add a second layer on top of that of studs going, because the house will be going this way and going in this direction, with this one being the longest and this one being the shortest. So that's pretty much why you do all this math ahead of time instead of just build an 8-foot wall, because then I would have this problem where I'm like, okay, then I got to come back and cut down all my studs. So on a traditional build, sure, you would build up your walls and then do the math on the rafters afterwards. But on this, because it's an existing structure and I'm trying to go with the grain of the wood, not at vaulted ceilings, this is kind of how I'm doing it on my house. This is 78 1/4. You minus the 4.5 because the board is 1.5 inches in width. You see? So if you're going to have pretty much the top would be these two stacked on top of each other. That's what the top plate would look like, and then the bottom plate, and then the studs in the middle. So we're just trying to find, and then so that's why you minus 4.5, and then 73 3/4 is what the actual studs going this way are going to be. And then for that, pretty much you cut 6 studs for an 8-foot stretch, and this many and this size, and then all you do to get here is you just measure it out on the red every 1/16 of an inch, and then 16 on center. Just means that if you pop the line down, you want the 48 and each one of those red markings to be the dead center of where the stud's at. So you make your mark, and then you make your X on this half of it, and then you make sure you do that on the top plate as well. And then you flip them over on this side, put all your studs going this way, screw them in, go to that side, bring the top plate over, screw them in, and then that wall's done. And then you lift it all in one unit, and then screw it into the 3/4 ply. So I'll go ahead and build up all the walls, and then we'll go to that. So I've got them all laid out here. This is pretty much how you build a wall. Okay, I don't even know how this wall's standing right now, but pretty much you get your studs lined up. This is your wall, and then that's what I mean, bottom plate, top plate, next plate goes on top of it. This is how you check your math. This is the mark. I already put the level on top of it, but it's pretty perfect. It would be pretty good. So that's how you check your math and make sure you built your wall right, and then you can go ahead and build the rest and assemble it. But I always like to check that just so I don't have to ever go back, only forwards. So yeah, I'm gonna build 3 more walls just like that. Okay, so we got the first rafter installed. All the roofs are in. Everything is square. You put the sway bar here, and this stays until the whole thing gets OSB'd and the siding is up, and then you can remove that. And then pretty much once you get your first rafter, you measure the measurements. I messed up there. I'll go ahead and own up to it now. That way you can see the 2x4s. That's the second top plate. I had to add 2 more to make it. That cut was wrong. So all the rest are right. You can see how big that first one was. It only needed a little bitty one. And then you put, once you get them right, you do 3 identical cuts. Next one right here, then one right here, one right here. You make sure that the top side to side on the joists are exactly perfect, and then perfect to this side as well. Side to side should match that side with this side, and so I'll go ahead and get the joist hung, and then hold on to there because I do my roofs a little bit different than everybody else probably in the country does. So I'll show you how I do it. I don't even think it's code, but honestly, I'm out here in Missouri, who cares? So yeah. Okay, so as you can see, the ceilings are done now. So you're starting to get a picture of what it looks like on the inside. The only difference that I do it in the traditional way is these rafters would be hung at 16 on center. So every 16 pretty much lined up with the studs, you'd see a rafter going this way. I don't necessarily do that on these smaller builds. If it's a full house, then yeah. But on like an additions or sheds or anything like that, garages, that kind of stuff, this is more than okay. I do this on all my front porches too. This is, so pretty much you put your post, or your rafters, your 4 rafters, right? And then you measure the distance from here to there and there to there. Make sure they're perfect and square, and that way you know each one of your 2x4s are going to be the same length. And then you do it the same way you do a wall, every 16 on center. You gotta start going this way so you can see all my, they're all lined up. And not perfectly lined up because the top one has to be at an angle, which throws them all off. But you could see what I'm saying? And then this top plate, I'll kind of show you. The rafter is kind of off-hanged a little bit from the stud, so you can't just put a stud up in here. This is what you have to do. You got to measure the distance between here and here. I'm just going to drop the drywall right in here. That's why I leave a little bit of gap, because I hate doing drywall. And that way I can just slide it up in here on this side, and then get on that side, screw it down, come over here, push it up, screw it in. That's how I do my ceilings. Because drywall is probably my least favorite thing of everything, trade-wise. So, you measure it from here down to wherever. You could go all the way to the top if you wanted to. That's fine. Because the only thing that's going in here is once the metal goes on top, you're going to put your insulation in between, and then your sheetrock's going right on it. So the inside, like that side, is completely done and ready for sheetrock after you put the siding up. And then the metal, then you can start doing your electrical, plumbing, then your insulation, then your flooring, then your drywall, etc. And then pretty much you put your stud up in here. You mark the back side of it, like you push against this, and there'll be a little bit overhang. You mark the back side of it. That's how you get your angle. Let me see if I can't show you that an angle. That's how you get your angle on the back cut. You mark it, and then I mark right here the overhang. The overhang piece, and then I measure from here to here. That's like an inch or whatever, and then I make sure to draw a line out from my angle. They're going to be different on each side, and then do your inch out line, go the other side line, then you put a bevel cut, and then you just cut it, and then that's how you make your notch, and then the rest of the stud slides in there. So on the back side, it's even, going all the way up, and on the front side, it's even, going all the way up. And then that way, once you put your drywall, you'll have a completely square corner. And yeah, so that's how I do my roofs, different than everybody else. And then you can see I had a gap there, so just dropped a 2x6 for like a backer that you're gonna put all the sheetrock up it. And then on the outside, as you can see, it's not gonna interfere with anything because your OSB is gonna go all the way up to where the roof is, to fill in that void. And then the roof's gonna go on top of it, and then you're gonna put your siding on it. And that's how you 100% make sure everything's dried in. So yeah, everything will look like that whenever it gets done. And then you put your OSB on the outside, and then you can remove all your cross braces, whatever, and then you buy the metal, put it on, and then I'm gonna cut the hole in the door for the door. And like I said, I conveniently chose this spot for the door because my mini split died. So instead of repairing that on the siding, I was like, I need an addition anyways, so we're just gonna build an addition around that mess up, and then just put the door there so we don't have to patch those. And then you just put sheetrock against here, there, and there, and on your ceilings. And then that's also how I have exposed beams in my house, is doing this method. So then when everything gets done, those beams will be completely exposed, and then you can paint your ceiling white and your beams black, and it looks really clean. And yeah, so on the inside, I just did it a little bit different on this rafter. On the inside, I just put the rafter on the inside, so that that beam would be exposed as well. I didn't really care about it on this, so I just had a clean corner. But these two beams will be 100% exposed on the inside after everything's sheetrocked. So you could just paint it a different color. It adds a little bit of flair to the room a bit. So yeah. Okay, so here there's no audio on this video, but I pretty much went ahead and sided the interior and then put the roof on, and then went ahead and just cut a hole in the inside so we can actually get a look at what we're looking at here. And pretty much what I'm measuring for is trying to see our opening here, and we're looking for more than 36 inches. Originally I was going to put a door here. This is future aid in here. We didn't end up doing that, so I left it as a casing, but I was just measuring to see if I was have enough room. We're good there, and then yeah, so it's all OSB. I went ahead and did the sheathing, and then put the roof on as well. With it being by myself and there was a bunch of trees and stuff there was nowhere to prop the phone. So this is kind of like an after video. But either way, I'm just measuring from the top up to make sure I had enough room at 81 or 80 inches for the doorway. So you have a normal size doorway on the step up, not just at the bottom. And I was showing you that with 80 being above, I have to remove all that wiring. As you can see, it's all like wire tied there. That's not normal. I absolutely cut it in half with a sawzall. So good thing I was moving it anyways, because I cut all those wirings in half and all my power shut off, so that was not fun. But this is the outside of the house. It's all sided. The only difference here is I took 2x4s and ripped them down to 1x2s. When I built the house originally, I just went ahead and bought 1x3s this time. I like 1x3s, it's a bit thicker and better look, but that was the only difference that I went ahead and did, and I kind of made sure to do that extra little bit of finesse on the gable that I didn't do on the normal part of the house, but I really like it. Okay, so we have our siding done now. So the outside is all done. A lot of that was done off camera, but it's besides the point. I went with a slightly different style. This is like the normal board and batten I did. I just went up 1 more inch on that thing, and then actually, so it looks really nice now. The corner boards are done. They're already made. I'm just gonna wait because they're getting painted black like that one. I'm just gonna wait until I paint the trim on the inside to do that at the same time. No point in painting it. Put it on now. Who cares? We can do it later. So this is what the side of it looks like. And then when I went around the rafter, I just indented it like that. And yeah, so the whole outside is done now. We have our metal roof on. I couldn't record that for obvious reasons. You can see future Aiden here. When I was putting that roof on, yes, I literally had to enclose myself inside the roof because I put the sheathing on first, and then it was raining like crazy, and I could not get up on there to put the metal on for obvious reasons. I'm sliding off, and I literally had to wait like 2 days or so. That caused like this much water to get on top of the OSB. I had to vacuum it all up, super dry it, ended up warping the subfloor a little bit. I had to deal with that later. You'll see that probably in the next video when I was doing the tile. Not fun, but regardless of that, we got it fixed and it's good now. I had to, when I was doing the metal on the last piece, because I already sheeted everything, I was fully enclosed, and I didn't cut the door yet because it was raining, so I had to like entrap myself fully in this like box, and then the only way out would have been cut my way, but I forgot the sawzall like common Drake and Josh. But I had to pretty much screw in this top part, put the ladder on, climb out this side, and then like escape with like a foot or less, like literally crawl out of the box once the roof was on, then screw it on the bottom and the middle from the top. going on top of it, and then I was able to go inside and cut the hole in the house. If I were to do it again, I'd probably cut the hole and just plastic a door, so that no rain got inside of my house. But obviously I wasn't thinking that way at the time, and I was more frustrated at the fact that it was just constantly raining. So just thought I'd throw that in there because that was a lot of behind the scenes stuff that was not on camera. See, it was at the same angle in the house, so we did our rafters right. Everything out here is good. And then we'll go ahead and go on the inside. I already foamed everything up and made it leak proof, and did some wiring that I'll show you. Went ahead and made the door, cut that, and now it's time for insulation. So we now have our door opening. This is for a 36-inch door. I do have to build up the wall here, do like a nice little build out, and then put the facing, and that will be the bottom of our door. And then if I can find my light. So this is pretty much the inside now. I went ahead and foamed up just from the metal and the wood on each side of it. So that's all dried in now, and nothing can get in, and then it's ready for insulation pretty much. I overdid this board on purpose because I'm going to put a top piece, because it's two rafters running side by side. I'm just going to put a piece up against that 1x4, 1x6, whatever it takes. Probably 1x4 is what it is, and then it's going to be painted black just how it is out there, because this is the only exposed beam that I have in the roof. I just always do that because of the way that I build my roofs here. You're able to. And then pretty much what happened here was the wires came down in the middle of the door. So then I had to cut it in half and then do these 3 boxes on each side to run it around, because these are the 3 main lines that go from the upstairs, the office right there, and then the bathroom. They were all coming out right there. Right there, and then they were running across. So I had to cut it in half, make it go around the doorway, because it just happened to be right where I went to put my door, height-wise. If I went at the original bottom, which I already kind of explained why, I did the step up, but if there's no step up, then it probably would have been at height to just not mess with it. But because I did the step up on the whole addition, I needed to do that. So then the 3, pretty much you just wire it from this side, run it around from this side, and then just encapsulate that and leave it in the wall, and then now it's code. And then I went ahead and added 2 more breakers. One, because this fridge needed a 20 for itself to be isolated, and then the other one is for all the plugs, regular plugs and lights in this room. And then pretty much these, I drilled a hole, made sure it went underneath the house, and then brought it up. The one obviously went to this box. That's a brand new box. It's already wired up for the fridge. And then the other one, I pretty much brought it up here, ran it here. This is going to be the first plug on this side of the wall. And then the other one is going to be the next plug. And then I'm waiting to do the rest until I insulate everything, because usually you do insulation before you do your electrical. And then, so we're pretty much all ready. I went ahead and, because I needed 2 more 20s and a 30, I had to upgrade at the pole. Because I had to upgrade at the pole, I didn't have enough space to add more breakers into that box. It still needs to be trimmed out, so it looks pretty bad right now. But that's the box that we have. It's a new box, to where I could fit the 30 and the tandem 220s into this room. So then now, pretty much this wall, I'll put the OSB back where I cut it all out. And then this wall's done, ready for sheetrock. And then this one, I'm going to have to insulate all the 3 walls, and then the ceiling. And then we'll move on to insulation. So I have all my insulation here. We'll move on to sheetrock. I have all my insulation here. This is always the brand that I use, the Pink Panther on it. And then we'll go ahead and install this, and then we can go ahead and cut to the electrical. Then after sheetrock, it's everything fun after that. So pretty much all this has been not so fun, but it's nearing the end now. So go ahead and do the insulation. For those of you who have never done insulation, that's what it should look like. Pretty much all you do is measure from right here to right there. Make sure that your studs are on 16 on center, and then you get this one, which is 15 wide on the actual portion, and then it has these little tabs that pop out. So that came out to 74. Took my little piece here that's 74, cut it, the regular knife, take it up over here, get it nice and fit so it's at the top. Take your little staple gun, staple it all the way down on both sides, and then you're done. And then you fill every single void with that, and then you're fully insulated. This wall's already done. I'm just going to do that. The lighting is obviously horrible, and I'm just by myself. So most of the footage and things that I'll be doing will be after this point, because that'll pretty much be everything that anybody will do. So I don't think nobody's ever done it before would hop on and build an addition from scratch like this. So that's why I'm just kind of briefly brushing past that until we get to this point, because I am by myself. I have no cameraman and no fancy lighting or tripod, because I don't usually upload any videos. So I'll pretty much get all this insulation done, and then I'll cut whenever I start doing drywall. I'll try to get better footage of that. So you can see this is what it looks like now. And then all the insulation, all the foam will get covered up on here. And then I just cut this one clean right here, and then put the 1x4. Then we're ready for sheetrock. Okay, so we're mostly insulated now, as you can see. Ceiling's done. This wall's done here. I just have that little piece on the ground to put in there. I just have this left. I already pre-cut it all. Didn't get much footage of this, but after this is drywall. I went ahead and put this in as well. Super simple to install. Pretty much I just drilled holes through the bottom in this top plate right here, or a bottom plate, and then drilled holes all the way through. This hole is for the dryer. The dryer plug, the 30-volt cord, gets in tomorrow. So it's just drilled and waiting. And then I went ahead and ran the pecs up, and then got this little thing. I haven't crimped them in yet, but pretty much you just put your crimp in there, and then crimp these two, and then it's done. It's ready for the washer, and then just drywall around it. So yeah, go ahead and do a little montage, I guess, of insulating the rest of this, and then I'll cut that back, drywall it, put the board on, and then the beam's done. Yeah. So I got a time lapse, but I guess when I set my phone down, whatever I was leaning against, because I don't have a stupid tripod, I guess it turned it off. So either way, this is done now. Got this last piece up there that I'll do, and then I'm gonna start running. The power came from there up here. It's gonna be the first outlet. I'm gonna go ahead and put all this OSB back on, or at least just strips as blocking or whatever. And then we're just gonna leave these behind the wall where they belong. And this is the first power outlet, and then it jumps to here. So I'm just gonna continue that all the way. Pretty much what I'll do there is I'll do another box here, probably 2 or 3 on this wall, probably 1 or 2 on this wall. Yeah, I'll probably do 3, probably 2 down there, 1 for the washer and dryer, so it'll be like right over here somewhere between there and there. That one's for the washer, and then the dryer cord gets in tomorrow. And then I'll go ahead and put the ceiling boxes in, run the wires for those. I'm thinking probably 2 of these lights over here. I'm thinking probably 2 of those, or 4 of those, I mean. So that way it's nice illuminated in here. I would just do 2 and then 2. And once I run all that, I'll go ahead and, I guess I could just drywall this wall, and then we'll do this ceiling, and then we'll do these 3 walls. So let's go ahead and cut to that.